Okay, so now we need to set up our autoresponder or email management system and connect it with our site so that we can begin collecting names and email addresses, because at the end of the day, and I know I've said it before, that is the real asset that you're ultimately building as you put together this business, this sales funnel. You need to think of this as a business and realize once more that, well, you have two primary assets here. One is your products. If you were a traditional business and you made blue widgets, the blue widget itself would have some value, but not nearly as much value as that blue widget would have, or this business would have, if you had also created a customer base and this pool of people that had expressed interest that you could market more widgets to, or that same blue widget to, over and over again. And that is really key here. If you go and record that album and that's all you've got, and you're going out and doing shows and you're selling them one at a time, you don't really have that much, I'm sorry to say, with all the competition that's out there. However, if you've got a mailing list of 10, 20, 30,000 people, even just a couple thousand people, you've actually got a business. You can continuously market product, in your case music or services like live shows. You can continually market to those people over and over again, and you've got some form of recurring income, or at least income that you can bank on coming in over and over again. I've got one business, it's not in the music space, but I've got one business right now that's getting very little traffic, very little new customers. But in that business, I've got a mailing list of something like 13,000 people, and I continuously bring in, $4,000 or $5,000 a month just marketing to those same people, and that is what you have the ability to do if you build that mailing list, and it's why this is so important. This is the absolute crux of this entire thing, collecting those names and email addresses. They represent fans, but on a pure brass tacks level, they are leads. They are people that may convert into sales and income if we only do a good job of building a proper relationship with them, respecting them, and creating desire for our products, for our music. So, what system should you use? I'm just going to skip right to the chase and recommend Aweber. Aweber is the company that I use. I've used many different companies. I think over the years I've probably had 5 or 6 different autoresponders. I currently use 4 different autoresponders. I use Aweber. I have a one shopping cart autoresponder, and I also have a constant contact autoresponder. I've played around a bit with Infusionsoft, a few other companies. I've had self-hosted email management scripts, which are infinitely cheaper, and by far, and in a way, I recommend Aweber when at least balancing everything out. Infusionsoft's pretty impressive, but it's about $250 a month, and we just don't need that. Aweber will do the job, and it's a reasonable price. I think it starts, it's been so long since I signed up, I think it starts at around $20 a month. I've got a special link for you. If you go to the resources below this video, that will take you to a $1 trial, so you can check it out for a month for $1 and see if you like it. What I personally do is just bite the bullet and pay for an entire year at a time. You save, I think, it's like getting 2 months free, and it also it gives you a year to get your act together. Otherwise, that nagging payment, I don't know about you, but when I see those nagging payments, even if they're $5 a month coming in each and every month, and maybe I haven't gotten off my ass and started using it, it really kind of bums me out. So I just bite the bullet and pay for the entire year, so I don't have to think about it for a year, and it buys me some time to get my act together. Yes, it's an expense. All businesses have expenses. It's a pretty moderate expense for something that is so important to your business. And again, if we reduce this into album sales, all you need to really do is sell 2 CDs a month to cover your costs. So if you're not doing that, then something's wrong. And the idea here is that your income is going to render this expense pretty negligible. The price of the autoresponder will climb as your list size grows, but once more, the bigger your list, the more money you're making, and the less or the more irrelevant that pretty nominal cost should actually be. Once more, I do encourage you to click that link that you should see in the resources. That'll take you to a $1 trial, and you can check it out. Again, if you want to use a different service, you can. The reasons I use Aweber is, one, they're really an industry leader, particularly in the direct response world. Direct response marketing is fairly different than what most people are using email for. Most people are sending out newsletters. Newsletters are corporate and fairly bland. They're not really focused on getting people to take action. Rather, they're focused on sending people content, delivering content. Aweber has a lot of tools that come in handy for the direct response marketer, but more than anything, what is important is deliverability. A lot goes into email deliverability. It's quite surprising. I've spoken with various email management system providers in length over the years, and it's not some software that they just host on a server. There's constant communication with the different email providers to make sure that their emails are getting through. If you go and buy one of these cheap, $100 one-time fee email management systems hosted on your own server, you're going to get some deliverability at first, but 6 months down the line, you're very likely to have almost all of those emails getting blocked by spam filters. All it takes is a couple of people hitting the spam button, which they will. It's inevitable. It's part of email marketing. And you're going to start getting your IP blacklisted with all of these different email providers, and those emails are not going to get through. And even when you're using a reputable email management system, you're still going to have deliverability issues. And when you use a service like Aweber that is in constant communication with these different service providers and is monitoring the emails that are going out of their system, you stand the best chance of getting those emails into their intended inboxes. So you can go with cheaper services. There are a couple, and they're not that much cheaper, maybe a few bucks a month, but you're risking a good percentage of those emails not getting through. So yes, of course, there are other services that do the same thing and do have good deliverability rates, but in my circles, Aweber's just always been at the top of the mountain, at least for this price range, and I don't want to mess around with email management. I just want to make sure that I'm using a good service that I can rely on. And another benefit with Aweber is their support is tremendous, at least in my experience. I've gotten calls out of the blue just to make sure the service is working well, and they have a phone number, which many services don't have, that you can just pick up the phone and get somebody on it right away that will help you. So Aweber, my recommendation. If you want to use a different service, you certainly can. Now, one thing to go into before we get started here is that many of you have existing email lists. That is, sort of par the course for the average musician. You're out there playing shows, and you probably have a clipboard or even an iPad or something like that you're using to collect email addresses where you're out doing these shows and on the road. And many of you are still, blind copying 100 people at a time into your Gmail or whatever it is you're using to send emails. Don't do that. Again, that is just going to get you your email address in a whole bunch of trouble, at least in terms of deliverability. It's unprofessional. There are formatting issues that can go along with that. It's just not a good way to do it. Another potential issue is that many of you are going to have an email management system that can't do half of what we're going to need to do. There are plenty of services out there that are designed for musicians, and again, they're sort of old school in terms of what they can do. They allow you to send out broadcasts, but they don't have sophisticated tracking. They don't allow you to create multiple lists. They don't have automation where you can move people from one list to another list. For example, a fan to a customer list, which can be important and which we'll get into later. And some of them don't even have the ability to pre-schedule emails, which is the whole crux of everything we're going to be doing. We're going to be writing 5 or 6 or however many you like emails and set them to go out at particular intervals, and many of the services out there that are designed for musicians are not designed to do that. So many of you are going to have to move your systems, or your email management systems, or take that Excel spreadsheet or whatever it is you're using to just kind of store email addresses yourself, and you're going to need to transfer it over to Aweber. Now here's the only rub, the only thing that you're going to need to deal with, and just about everyone I've worked with has had to deal with this, is you can import those email addresses. They do have a bulk import option with Aweber, and it's pretty simple. You just go to the subscribers and add subscribers, and you upload your Excel sheet or whatever sheet you're using, and you upload them into the system. But when you do it that way, every single person is going to be sent a confirmation message. So that means that you add them to the system, and then a message goes out to them saying whatever it is you want it to say. You can customize that message. Typically, I try to incentivize things like, hi, I'm transferring my mailing list to a new system. In exchange for taking the time, I wanted to give you a free gift. Here's a song. Just click the link and it'll be sent to you automatically. Something like that. And then what I would also do is use your old method of communicating with your fans and email those people multiple times until they all sign up. If you want to be really diligent about it, as they sign up to your new system, you can actually remove them from your old system so that you can email pretty aggressively to that old system until everybody is moved over without annoying the people that have moved over. And you'll be surprised how many people you will lose in this process. Many people will not click that confirmation link, and there are going to be two reasons for this. One, your emails haven't actually been getting out, and those that have not been being opened. Again, this is a massive problem that most musicians don't realize because they're not using sophisticated enough systems. They're not realizing how few people are actually getting those emails. They think they have 1,000 people on their email list and 1,000 people are getting their messages. It's not the case. You're lucky if you're extremely lucky if even 50% of those people are opening it. That's when you have fantastic deliverability. So you're gonna lose people, and it feels terrible when that happens. Everyone's like, "Gosh, I had 1,000 people, now I have 400. What happened?" But the good news is that by doing this, by moving it to a system like Aweber that creates an audit trail, that just means they can prove that people actually signed up to their system. When that happens, you can easily move your email management system later, at a later date. Yet another reason to start now, as soon as you can, with a good whitelisted autoresponder. But you can move them at a later date, and again, you know what you actually have. It doesn't do us any good to have 10,000 old, outdated email addresses on a spreadsheet if no one's opening them. So by making this move, the real fans are going to come with you. If a person can't be bothered clicking on that link, then we're foolish to think that they were ever going to buy anything in the first place. So that's one negative. You're going to have to stomach the fact that people are going to drop off if you're not going to get everyone to move. But once more, if you email the old list repetitively trying to get them to move over, and you incentivize that in some way, then you should have a decent job of moving those people over. So that is the long and short of everything you need to be aware of before getting started. And now with that out of the way, I think we should go and set up our list. It's actually not that difficult. Once we know what we're doing, there are a lot of features in Aweber. There's a lot that you can do, and I'm going to walk you through everything. Once more, if you click that link in the resources, that will take you to your $1 30-day trial. That will, at least as of this recording, it will take you there. Perhaps they'll change their special offer at some point, and if that happens, you may see something different, but that should take you to your $1 free trial. And you'd create your account. I'm already cookied, so I believe I'm being redirected to the login page, but you should see something similar. And you'd create your account, and once you do, you're going to log in, and that will take you to a page like this. So this is my home page. You can see I've got a few messages scheduled to go out, and I've got all my lists a little lower on the page. I'm not going to show you that because I've got a lot of different businesses through here, and some of them I want to keep private. I don't need the competition. But I've got a lot of different lists, and what we want to do is simply create a new list. So let's click this, create and manage lists. come here and click Create a List. Then we scroll down, and I hate this wizard. It is very irritating. We're going to name the list, so you can call it whatever you want. I'd probably just call it something like your name and general. I've already actually got a list in here, and I don't want to confuse things, so I'm going to go with the same kind of name. John Ojaka. Let's call it new. We'll just call it 2 because it's not giving me that many characters. I need to differentiate this from my other lists. So it may tell you this already in use by another customer. This is because every list name needs to be unique. Then we come here to list description. I'm just going to call this John Ojaka Music because that's the URL. It just really helps me, and customers will occasionally see this. The from name, I really suggest you put your personal name, not something entertainment, not admin, not contact. You want the people to be really feeling that they're getting a personal email from you. So same goes for your address. You want to make it a personal email from you. That's in my opinion really important. It does have to do with your branding. If you're a band, you can do this in any way that you want. It could be from your band name, but I really suggest that you try to create a voice to these emails, whether that's all of you alternating who is sending them, or one of you sort of taking on the task of being the voice. I really think that people respond differently when they're getting an email from John from the band such and such, as opposed to just an email from the Wallflowers or whatever it is. People really want that email from Jacob Dylan. They respond when they think a human being is taking the time, even if they know it's not being sent to them. And I'll tell you that many do feel that the email is being sent directly to them, as you'll see as the responses start coming in. So you enter your email address here. I'm just going to use my personal email address. They do usually recommend you use business email addresses or ones that are not free. You can see here, avoid using free addresses like AOL.com and Yahoo.com. For purposes too boring to explain, I'm just going to use this currently. I have done it before, and it does work, and the emails go out, but it's a better idea to use a paid email address. And you can get those for free when you set up your hosting, or if you want it to even be a little bit easier to work with. I think Gmail's now charging $5 a month or something to get a personal email address run through Gmail. So it can be, John or your name at whatever your website is .com. And you can still run it all through Gmail. So it has many of those features that a lot of us are familiar with. The email management setup that comes with most hosts is a little clunky, or at least it was the last time I used it, at least in comparison to something like Gmail. But it's a good idea to set yourself up with a more professional email, a non-free email like AOL, Yahoo, or as I'm doing here in the example, Gmail, which just goes to show that despite what I'm saying, you can often get away with doing things differently. Then your contact address, you're going to need this. This is legally required. So if you don't want people to see your personal address, go set up some cheap P.O. box, but you need to have a business address in your emails. It's legally required when sending out email like this. Notifications. So when somebody signs up, you probably want to find out about it. Let's see here. I'm going to just put my name. I'm going to send these to myself. There's another reason you want to do it, and we can do this later. I like to have a record of everybody that is in my system, because later when a customer comes in, I'm going to show you how to do this a little bit later on, but I can run a search, especially in Gmail, that allows me to see all of the transaction history of one particular customer based on email addresses, and I can see when they came into the system, and that tells me a lot in terms of how effective my sales funnel is, how long somebody has been in my circle, so to speak, how long they've been a fan, how many times they've ordered in the past. At a glance, it gives you some real valuable information. So I think it's important to send these notifications to yourself. And if you don't like getting all of those, you have a new subscriber all day long kind of messages, what you can do, again, at least in Gmail, maybe worth going and setting up a free Gmail account. Although I would assume with other email providers they probably have something similar, but you can create a filter so that that email bypasses your inbox but stays in your archives, so that you can always see that information if you need it, but you're not going to get bombarded by 20 or 30 of these each and every day if you start seeing some decent volume. So once we've done that, we save the settings. And there we go, we're all saved. It really doesn't want me to do this, so I probably will come back and change this. This is they're stressing this in a way that they haven't in my previous list setups, so I may come back and change this at some point, and I'm going to just throw in one more advisement there, that you do try to get a email address that has a proper extension and is not a free one, but it will work if you don't. So we come to personalize your list. Company name, same thing here. You can write anything you want. I've never seen this information pop up anywhere, so I at least as far as the customer can see. John Ojaka Music, website URL, HTTP. Let's put in our new squeeze page, johnojacamusic.com. Email signature, I'm going to leave that alone. Social media sharing, I'm going to really recommend you actually turn all of this off. Broadcast archive settings include a web form. Do not do that. Do not connect Facebook and Twitter. Many would disagree with this, and you can use it. All this basically means is that when you send out an email, one, this would be saved in an archive. Two, these will go out to your social profiles, and I don't want that by default, because very often I'm going to send out some kind of a special promotion just to my subscribers or just to my customers or something like that, and I don't want this information being shared. There's also a tone that I might use in an email that is very different than something I would use with my social followers, the people following me on my various social profiles. So I don't like connecting these. I think they should be separate. Global text snippet, you don't need to really worry about any of this. Click Save Settings. Now we come to confirmed opt-in. Now this is fairly important. We're really going to want to change this message here. And first we should actually discuss a little bit more about this. You don't actually need to require people to click a confirmation list in order to be added. It is recommended that you do. I do both. There are times when I do and there are times when I don't. For my main list, I leave it on. I want people to click a confirmation link. That ultimately creates an audit trail. In other words, if you ever got in trouble with some kind of spam complaint, there would be this existing audit trail. It's something that Aweber tracks, where they can say, look, no, this person, they clicked the confirmation link, they subscribed. We're not spamming them. This isn't really something that I've actually ever heard happen. I've never heard of anyone getting in trouble. All of these little marks against you just kind of happen behind the scenes, and it's nothing to actually worry about. But this, long story short, by leaving this on, or so goes the consensus, this will supposedly help your deliverability rate over time. Everyone says in the industry that by turning it off, your deliverability rate will suffer, and that is likely the case. However, I've done both, and I'm not seeing too dramatic of an effect. Nevertheless, for my general lists, I leave it on. If I'm running paid advertising to a particular page, I often turn it off, because what happens is sometimes, particularly if it's something like Facebook advertising, people click kind of out of curiosity, and then when they get taken to that confirmation link, a new voice pops into their head that says, maybe I don't want to get a bunch of email from this person that I don't really know, so maybe I'm not going to click that. I'm just going to pass. You will see that happen to a higher degree with certain forms of paid advertising. At least I've seen that happen. So when it comes to paid advertising, I can't afford to lose those people, because I'm paying for each subscriber, so I turn it off. And if you do that, all that happens is no audit trail is created. And if someone ever tries to resubmit from the same IP address, they are going to receive the confirmation link, confirmation message anyway, so don't think you can go and manually add 10,000 people yourself. They will get that confirmation link. So regardless, if you decide to leave it on, which Aweber suggests, and I think is a good starting off place, everyone is going to get this confirmation message, and you want to customize it, because I find this language to be a little scary for someone who doesn't know you from Adam and isn't sure what you're all about yet. The default subject line is confirm your subscription. Now, subscription to most people means payment, and if you don't change this, you're going to see a fairly terrible confirmation rate. And just to throw a little caveat in there, not everyone is going to confirm. So if you see 100 people sign up and you go and you check your confirmation rate and you see that, like, I don't know, 10 or 15% of these people have not clicked that confirmation link, that is normal if you've got it turned on. So don't be terrified that something is wrong. If it's too large, then something else could be at play. But if you don't change this message, you're going to see a much worse confirmation ratio than you would otherwise. So let's change this. Confirm messages. I like doing something like this. Response required. Please confirm, I can't seem to spell, your request for free music. Or please confirm your request for a free download, something like that. Now we come in here and let's just make this a little more personal. I've actually pre-written something. Let's try this. I received your request for a free download of my latest single. Obviously this could vary for everyone, so let's just say for a free download. Before I send it to you, I just need to confirm that you are the owner of this email address, and I do in fact have your permission to send it to you. To confirm, just go ahead and click the link below. Very conversational. One thing you can do, you don't need to do this, but I'm going to geek out on you here, is go to a site called formatit.com. Paste your email in there. I'm going to change this to 60. And then click submit. I'll put the link to this site in your resources as well. And all that is done is broken each line up into a maximum of 60 characters. It just makes everything look a little bit tighter. There are reasons we do this with our other emails. They're easier to read when they're condensed. It sort of focuses attention a bit better, and it also, if you don't do it, it can sometimes cause emails to display strangely in the different email service providers that are out there. Why I'm doing it here in the confirmation message is because Aweber is automatically doing it. You can kind of see here with the rest of the email, and it just kind of, so it looks kind of odd if this stretches across the entire screen, so I format it as well. You don't need to do it. But we pasted that in there. Now our confirmation success page URL. This is where we're going to send people after they have confirmed. So remember, we've created those pages. Let's see if I can find them. Here it is. It's, in my case, johnojakamusic.com/confirmation. You're all set. Your download info is on its way to your inbox. We're going to send them the download link via email. That's how I choose to do it. If you wanted to, you could put the download link right here on the page. It's just that people could share it a little bit easier. Technically, they can share files, by just sending people the files. So I don't think you're really preventing that much by not including it on the page. In fact, by including it, you made your deliverability quite a bit easier, which we'll get into a bit later. But I'm going to show you how I do it, which is to send the track via email. So let's come back here and paste that in here. Don't worry about this little box. Save settings. And we're away. Our list is now set up. So now what we need to do is create the actual code. Let's see if I can find my squeeze page. Okay, I don't think I have an example up. Let's see. I don't have my squeeze page example up currently, but here is basically what we're trying to do. This is a blog page, but obviously we need that to also appear on our squeeze page right here. So what we're going to do is, and there are a few steps involved, but it's not that complicated. First thing we're going to need to do is come to, let's see, oh, and by the way, you can see it says pending approval. You'll get an email within 24 hours or within 1 working day from Aweber saying that it was approved. If there was a problem with some of your language, then they'll tell you and you can fix it. But it doesn't become active automatically. So now we need to come to sign up forms. Create your first sign up form. Okay, and you can see here, this is how we're going to create these forms. You can customize them in all kinds of ways. And they come with just tons of different templates. I don't even know, it's dozens and dozens of templates, and you're free to use one if you like the look of something better. But I create my own. So this is how I basically do it. I come here, turn that off, and we respect your email privacy. If I was doing paid advertising, I'd probably leave this on. For now, I'm going to turn it off. And actually, in many of the paid campaigns, I do turn it off. Close it. Why do I do that? And I get rid of the Aweber powered by link. The reason I do that is because I find that, you'd think by putting up some kind of a privacy message there, you're going to help alleviate people's concerns that they're going to get spam. But actually what happens is it reminds people that spam is an issue, and you see conversion rates go down. At least that's what I feel that I've observed. I haven't done any kind of rigorous testing on that, but so I get rid of it. You're free to leave it. Now, next thing you want to do is change the size here. So you just kind of click on this area here in the field. You can close that, and we're going to take that and go to 14. In fact, actually click on it again, and what I'd probably do is just put first name. It's less of a commitment. It's removing any, a little bit of potential trepidation there or concern about giving too much information. All we need is their first name. In fact, you can even remove this altogether. Many quote-unquote internet marketers will tell you to do so. In my opinion, that is because in the internet marketing space, people are quite jaded, but in other spaces like music, they're not. And I think the personalization that you can do in your emails, if you have their name, in other words, you can address emails to people specifically, I think that actually does carry some weight in the music space. So I always do it. In fact, I even do it in the internet marketing space. I just think it's better practice, even though you will come across people who say to get rid of it, because in theory, the less information, the more comfortable people are, or the less resistance you need to overcome, and the higher your conversion rate. But I use it. Now we click on that again. We have the labels. This is the label field. That's the actual words there. I'm going to increase that as well to 14. Let's see here. We just click that if you want to get rid of the footer. It's just really a matter of opinion in terms of what you like the look of. Now we need to do something about this order button. If you wanted, you could easily just change the text here to download, or let's see, actually get your download, anything you wanted it to say, and you could take it and you could click this to center it. You could click this to increase its size. You could change the color by doing let's see, that. Anything you wanted really. But what I like is a custom button, and I'm going to provide you with the download link to that image in the resources as well. What you're going to need to do though is host that image. So let's see, what we need to do is go back to our blog. I've got so many pages open. Here we go. Our WordPress dashboard. Come here to Media, click Add New, click Select Files. Once you've downloaded it to your desktop, it should be on your desktop. It's just called download-button.jpg. Open it. Once that's done, you can click Edit. You just come over here to the file URL, highlight it. We can close that. We're going to come back here and we're going to click on that. We're going to go to Advanced and Button Image. We're going to just enter our URL. You got to make sure you delete that HTTP or you'll have it there twice. And then click Enter. And you can see that it doesn't fit currently, so let's just close this. We come here, just hover over the edge and stretch out our form until it is fitting nicely and everything is looking centered. So let's see here, there we go. And now we have a nice looking form. Let's go to step 2. Now we will need to name this form. Again, why this is important is because you might be creating multiple web forms, one for your blog, one for a squeeze page that is getting traffic from Facebook, one for a squeeze page that's getting traffic from guest blog posts, whatever you're doing, maybe an ad in the paper. I create different web forms or different squeeze pages for different sources of traffic so that I can track things, because I'll show you there's some really valuable tracking capabilities here with these web forms, and they're a lot easier to use than many of the more advanced tracking scripts that are out there. So let's name this. Let's just call this the main one, or whatever you want to call it. Now we need a thank you page. So remember that thank you page. This is the confirmation page. Let's see, here we go. In my case, it was just my domain /thanks. It says, wait, there's just one thing left to do. So you can use the basic, but I don't recommend it. What I instead recommend is you go here and enter custom page, and then put your thank you page URL. Again, this is the page that gives them instructions on what is going to happen next. And the already subscribed page, you can do one of two things here. You could send them to a page that had the download link, or just stick with the basic version. This isn't going to come up very often, and that's usually what I do. Now, save the form. Great. Now we come to go to step 3. I will install my form. Now we want to take this and add it to our little sheet here where we've been keeping the info we've been creating along the way. This is our code. So to add this to our site, we come here, let's close that. We come here, we're going to edit the page. Again, if you're logged in, you'll see this little admin bar here at the top. You just click on the edit page option. Alright, here's our squeeze page. Now this is an important step. You need to remember this. Come down here to custom fields, and remember, if ever you're not finding something that you should be finding down there, you need to come up here to screen options and make sure everything is ticked. Don't know why they hide those by default, but they do. And type in the words, all lowercase, opt-in. Again, opt-in, all lowercase. And then go to the value field and type in that JavaScript code that we just got from Aweber. Now click Add Custom Field. Alright, now we come back up here and click Update. Click View Page. There's a little more we want to do, but I thought I would show you this first. Okay, and you can see that we have got our form in place. Now, two things are happening. One, it's looking a little funky. It's off to the side here, and there's not any descriptive text here. We want to give them a little bit of a prompt so that this module here sort of functions, without any necessary description from the body copy, which they may or may not even bother reading. So we come back to that page. And again, you can do this all at once, but I just wanted to show you the different elements. And we're going to need to do two things. To center that form, we need to use this open bracket, then type the word center, all lowercase, then close angle bracket, and then we come to the end of the Aweber code that we added and do it that open angle bracket, and then a / that is basically telling the command to stop doing what it was doing, and then we type in center, and then the closed angle bracket. And there's one more thing, but for now I'm just going to update because I want to show you as we do each step. We come back here and refresh the page, Okay, and it's actually not centering out. So what that means is that I've made the form just a hair too big. So we come back here to our forms. Let's just go to design. Let's just shrink it down a hair. To appear, there we go. Okay, at some point you'll see that the form starts to be lopsided, so we want to come in as much as possible without off-centering things on this side versus this side. Let's see here. I just want to get it perfect. There we go. Go to step 2. Save the form. And the nice thing about this JavaScript is I don't need to then take it and go back and paste it. It will automatically update. So let's actually just refresh the page. And you can see that things have centered out nicely. So now we want a little descriptive text in here. Let's come here and we go back up to the top of this this value field before the center tag, and we want to type just a simple prompt telling people what to do. Enter. Actually, let's use the center tag again. Do it again. Do it a second time instead of trying to put everything in between the two center tags. I don't know why it should work theoretically with just the single center tag, but I've seen a few issues from time to time. So create a new center tag so that our text is centered, and then type in enter your name and email address below, and you'll receive 3 of John's latest singles -free, all caps. Again, write anything you want in this section. Then we're going to do that close tag for the center command. Then we're going to do something different. Open angle bracket BR, that stands for break, and then closed bracket, that is going to give us a little more space. It's just going to look a little nicer. You're going to have to take my word for it on that. Otherwise everything will be a bit squished together. We come up here and click update. Come back to our page and click refresh. And you can see here, and what I meant earlier is this space that we see here would not have been here. This form would have been jammed up right next to the text, and it doesn't look as nice. So enter your name and email address below, and you'll receive 3 of John's latest singles free. And we've got our nice looking opt-in form. The reason I use this button is because there's been a lot of testing in various circles that this orange seems to convert better, believe it or not. That's why Amazon uses it. It seems to do something psychologically that gets a tiny bump in additional sales. So that's what I use. Certainly you can use something else if you'd like. And there we go. And if your color combos are different, then you probably would want to use something different, but it works nicely against the white. But now we have got our squeeze page up and running. We're ready to go. We can start collecting email addresses. Now, obviously, if people started signing up now, nothing would happen. They wouldn't get their download. They wouldn't start getting emails from you. So in the next lesson, we're going to go over that. I'm going to show you how to write and configure those email addresses and set up your free download and all that technical stuff. But the open sign has just been hung on our new music business, and it's pretty exciting. This is a crucial step. You could go out and start getting press right this second. You could turn on ads and send people to this page, and you'd start collecting email addresses. You could do a show tonight and start building that business. Now, obviously, you want to configure things so they actually get the downloads that you promised, but you catch my drift. We are now open for business, and it's a very important step. So, well done. Hopefully, at least shortly after watching this, you'll have everything up and running. I know there's a lot of talk at this lesson, and that happens from time to time. I just do it because if I don't explain some of this stuff, if you don't know the purpose behind it, if you don't know what kinds of little errors can come up along the way, then inevitably you're going to encounter them, and you're not going to know what to do. So there are different styles of teaching. Some people just kind of give you the step-by-step. I tend to give a lot of theory as I go. Hopefully you don't mind that. I know it takes a little longer, but hopefully you're feeling that you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it by the time you're done with each lesson. And if ever that's not the case, as always, you've got the little comment boxes below each video, so go ahead and ask any questions, and I can answer them for you. So that's it for this lesson. We've got more to do. I will catch you in the next video.